Metal Jesus here, and I am back again with the Immortal John Hancock in his room of doom. How's it going, dude?
Going well.
Why are we here today?
We're here to talk about expensive crap.
One of my favorite subjects. Now, we're here about the Neo Geo because, dude, it's so funny behind the scenes. He's been trying to explain all this stuff off camera, and I still don't get it. So this video is really for me and all of you who want to learn all about the Neo Geo and collecting, right?
That's right. There's a lot to it, and this video hopefully will help you out.
Yeah, definitely. So let's take a look. I mentioned in the intro, I am completely confused by this. I don't know why. I can't grasp. I guess it's because we're really talking about two different consoles, aren't we?
We are, and I would say two different formats of essentially the same games.
Yeah.
And so, you know, arcade came out in the early 90s. SNK released a very successful arcade system in which you could use cartridges and swap out different games using the same arcade cabinet.
Okay.
It was genius.
Yeah.
A year later, then they released the Advanced Entertainment System home console, which was not compatible with their arcade machines. And so it's the same game, just a little different format. Here to explain that.
Yeah, okay, so if you are out and about and you happen to stumble upon something at a garage sale, but more likely it's going to be like at a retro gaming convention or maybe a pawn shop or a retro store.
Yes.
What do I need to know? Let's start.
Okay, so first of all, this is what a Neo Geo home console looks like.
And this is called the what?
The Advanced Entertainment System, AES.
Okay.
Neo Geo AES, as it's known online, is this the home console. Now, the import or US version, they interchange, they play carts, so it doesn't matter. What's important to know is if your system isn't modded, it will play. So if you have a Japanese cartridge and you play it in your US console, it will play in Japanese.
Oh, I see.
Unless you have a BIOS chip installed.
Okay.
And then you can choose the region. It's a region mod.
So when collecting for this system, do I assume people then do often buy, like this one looks like the Japanese version. You do that maybe because it's cheaper, or?
Well, yes, and the Japanese version had blood.
Oh.
And so the US one didn't.
Okay.
And so back then it was
Love
like
blood.
Deal. Yeah, like it made a deal. And then so this has a BIOS chip, so I can choose what region.
I see. Okay, cool.
Yeah.
So, how did this output? Was it just
composite?
Okay, cool.
And it actually came with an RF switch.
Oh, really? Like old school?
But it wasn't stereo. It actually had a stereo mod.
Oh, okay.
But you can have these things up to, component out now.
Now, if you were to find one of these just sort of like that, does it take a power brick or anything like that?
Yeah, it is its own proprietary power source.
Okay.
And so
you need to make sure and have that.
Yes. Okay. Yes, you do. And so, but that's a console hardware.
Okay.
And so that's what a cartridge looks like for the home console version, the AES. Now, controllers.
Yes.
All right. That is the first gen Neo Geo controller.
So it came with an arcade stick.
Yes.
So it's not like some little... No. Okay, interesting.
Later on, and I'll explain, they made several different controllers.
Okay.
And when they released the CD version, there came like a more standard control pad.
I see. So these are notorious, or not maybe notorious, but like loved for their clicky controllers. I mean, they're brilliant, right?
Yeah, it's great. The con of the first gen is that typically these balls break and crack.
Oh, okay.
And so they went with a probably cheaper to produce nicknamed the Bean controller.
Okay.
And what's nice about
Looks
this...
like the Genesis version, doesn't it?
Yeah, I love this controller, and I love that because it has an indentation for your thumb.
Oh, nice.
And you can do that. And this thing is bulletproof. Like my son Justice, when he comes and plays, I let him play this, and it's pretty durable.
You can just hammer on it.
Yeah. Excellent.
Now, last night when we were playing this, we were using a third-party one, right?
Yes. Oh, yes.
I know. He was letting me use this one. This is really cool.
Also known as the only way to beat Magician Lord.
Okay.
So it has
Hori.
Yep, it's Hori. It's got built-in turbo, and it's metal.
Metal.
That's right.
Yeah, it's very solid.
Yeah, awesome.
That's cool. Any other accessories or things like that that you might find out in the wild?
Yeah, so they made a memory card
Okay.
And the memory card is for the home console. You could use it on certain arcade games as well.
Oh, so you could play games at home, take the memory card, and walk into your arcade.
Yeah, it was on certain games. Yeah, definitely.
That's cool.
And so it's pretty neat. It was one of the first systems to have a memory card. And really, I mean, that's the main things. They made a bag for the home console that's really collectible.
Like you take it over to your friend's house. And
yeah, and so I used to have it, but it got moldy, and I had to get rid of it.
I see. Okay, cool. So that's the home system. So now we move into the arcade, right?
Yes. Now it's important to know that these cartridges look like this.
So a little bit more generic, right? Because again, it's designed for arcades. They don't need to be flashy.
Correct. And you know, it's also good to know that there's many pirates out there. So there's a Neo Geo website that showcases all the things you need to be aware of.
Oh, okay. So if you run or if you're curious about something, you can go there and sort of authenticate it.
Yes.
Okay.
So I don't have an arcade machine because I have no room.
Yeah.
So there's
most people don't. No, but there's two versions of the arcade, right? There's like a big stand-up one, and there's like a tabletop, right? I think Kinsey has the table. Yeah, whatever they call that, the candy cab.
Yeah. So there's many different. The candy cab, I think, is a standard name for the arcade unit, but then there's a cabaret, which is like a smaller Neo Geo machine. But there's many different ways of playing this. Now, here's where it gets a little complicated. They made an adapter way later that you could play the arcade cartridges on the home AES console.
Why would you want to do that? Why wouldn't you just buy the home version?
Because those cartridges are expensive as hell.
Okay.
So these are about, it can be up to like 1/10 the cost.
Same game.
Same game.
Oh, I see. Okay. So so it doesn't maybe necessarily come. We're going to get into the packaging a little bit after this, but so I see. So so buy the arcade version if you can, get the converter, or the and then you have something here which is kind of interesting.
Yeah. So my good friend Chris Tremu of Lost Classics. He isn't doing a production run of these. This is a special request.
Right.
He took a Super Nintendo shell, took an arcade board from a Neo Geo arcade cab, and fit it into a Super Nintendo. And with component out, and you know, it took him about 2 years to complete.
Right.
And then so now I can play the arcade cartridges on my home TV.
And we were doing this last night. We're playing some Metal Slug and what was the other?
Robo Army.
Yeah, and I mean it looked beautiful.
Yeah.
I mean it just looked amazing, and it was fine.
The other nice thing about the arcade cartridges is that you know you just press a button for more credits. So people that want to casually play, people that just want to casually play a game, this is great. You know, I'm not that great at Metal Slug, so I just like to play it. And I died a lot last night.
Oh yeah, we did, but we were having a blast. Yeah. So that's a good point. Is that you're right. In the arcades, they could set dip switches for maybe difficulty or language or whatever. And you have those options.
Yeah, and some of those options on the home console have been limited because they wanted to challenge you more because they know you own the cartridge.
Right, interesting.
They didn't want you to blow through a game, you know, especially when you're paying, I think when they came out, they were $200 a piece.
Wow, that's crazy.
Yeah.
Cool. So that's pretty much the hardware. Let's talk about collecting for the games.
All right, games. Let's start with the home console, the AES.
Okay.
And so the good thing to know is there's 3 categories of Neo Geo games that I'm going to classify.
For the home or just in
general?
The home?
Okay. For the home and kind of.
This is why it's so confusing.
Yeah. So there's not expensive, expensive, and expensive as hell. So let's start here. Here's 3 games, and these were early launch titles. This was known as kind of the main pack-in Magician Lord.
Right.
It's one of the few non-fighting, non-shooter. It's kind of a action platform.
Yeah.
I beat this when I turned 30 about 10 years ago.
Yeah.
Yeah. It was hard. Anyways,
you became a man.
Yeah. So you can get this, and a cheap Neo Geo game is under $100.
Yeah. Okay. So that's considered cheap, under $100.
Yeah.
Wow. Okay.
So, you know, I hate to use prices because prices change all the time, but these are going to be cheaper Neo Geo games.
So obviously the first thing that comes to mind is that they just look, you know, like for the home market, like they have labels on them. And you know, they're bigger than VHS cassettes. They're amazing.
Yeah, huge.
Like that's the one thing about collecting for the Neo Geo, I guess, from my perspective, is that yes, you're paying $100 or under, but I mean, look at that. It's like something substantial. I bet it looks amazing in your collection, like on the wall.
Oh yeah, no, I have it spined out in a glass case, and it's awesome. It's like, so Anyways, these cases do damage. They have an inside plastic case that cracks.
Sure.
Finding one in better shape, you're going to have to pay more probably.
Okay. Interesting.
So Baseball Stars, again, a very simplistic arcade style baseball game. A lot of fun, even if you're not into sports. Neo Geo did some sport games that are great.
Interesting.
Anyways, again, not expensive. We'll just use that classification. Then NOM 75, and there were some censorship issues, so you find a lot of them with like marker on like the lady's leg and chest area.
Oh yeah, these do,
because there was censorship in certain countries that didn't allow the leg to be shown of a female. There was certain laws and stuff they had to accommodate.
Really?
Yeah.
Interesting. Wow. Okay.
Yeah. So okay, now we're gonna go to expensive. And again, Neo Geo had some of the best shooters. This is a home of AES version of Last Resort.
I think I have this on the Genesis, maybe. Do I? No, I don't. I have something else. Okay.
But it is on the compilation. The compilation, I do believe.
Like the PS2? Okay, compilation. Yeah, that's a good point, is that while we're talking about price here, for me, I played a lot of these games on the PlayStation 2 compilation, and it runs really good.
Yeah.
So,
yeah, Last Resort, it's a great shooter. It's well done. Again, it's expensive.
Yeah.
So later on in the release, at the tail end, when SNK got bought out by Playmore, it became SNK Playmore. Some of the late release games in the late 90s and early 2000s, they went to a snap case, and these cases are better. Again, some of the late release King of Fighters games are expensive. Very expensive.
But again, you know, you look at this and you're just like, man, it just feels so substantial. It comes in a great case. I mean, it just, you feel like you're really buying something special. That's got to be part of the appeal.
Yeah. And the manuals went to more of the CD style size.
Okay.
And you know that it's got like a really cool slick case, and this thing's beefy. They're really nice, and it's a little tougher than the previous cases. You don't have to deal with the plastic inside cracking as much.
Yeah.
Now we're going to talk about really expensive.
Okay.
So,
and I think this is what turns off a lot of Neo Geo collectors, because they will want some of these games and they can cost $500, $800, $1,000. I mean, a lot.
Yeah. So really, fair warning. This stuff is not cheap, and really, you're investing in a quality game, a highly collectible item that was made in low production value.
Right.
And you know, you probably can get bang for your buck somewhere else. This is not for everybody.
Right. But it's cool to see it.
Oh yeah. So this is Ninja Commando.
Okay.
And this
I love the name already.
kind of a top-down overhead, like a shooter in which you're a ninja,
really?
Shooting stuff. Yeah, it's awesome. And it's also a US dog tag version, and it's important to know that on the spine here, it's the US like stamp, and these are sought after. They're hard to get, especially in good shape. I'm really just happy to have this in my collection. It's expensive.
Cool, very cool.
And this is in the really expensive. It was the Swan Song for the system, the last cartridge they released. One
of the things I noticed when we were looking at these, it says, a lot of these are like 34 megabytes, 60 megabytes. This is 708 megabytes. That sounds like a lot.
Yeah, and it's important to know that this same game was released on the original Xbox.
Oh.
And you can get it significantly cheaper.
Okay.
And also on the Samurai Showdown Anthology, which is on multiple systems, including the PSP, the Wii, and the PS2. PS2 is the best version, I think.
Okay, cool.
So this is awesome.
Yeah.
And they have like inside in the instruction manual, they have like a thank you to all their fans on the back page. Just really cool stuff.
Now, is this the most expensive game currently, or
no? I mean, there's other collectibles that are,
variants,
very $10,000.
Really?
Yeah. Super rare, like only a few found. Like good luck finding them.
Right.
But this is still really expensive.
Cool.
Yeah.
So this was, again, the home console here. Now, I asked you also to bust out some of these arcade, because they come in completely different packaging.
Yes, because it wasn't about flash. It was you're buying a cartridge for your arcade machine
to business owners, essentially.
Yeah. So I'm going to start off with just stating that this would essentially a lot of these MVS cartridges are cheaper if you buy just the cartridge.
Right.
So, you know, they came up with a bunch of stuff. Long story short is that you know, buying a loose arcade cartridge is going to be cheaper than a full kit.
And I've seen these in retro stores, and not this particular game here, but you'll see them for like $20. I mean, they're very reasonable sometimes.
20, 40, hundreds, it all depends.
Right.
It has its own value. And because the AES stuff is so expensive, and now there's adapters that your home console can play these have gone up in price.
Right.
They've also been pilfered to hack or to modify for conversions, which makes it even more expensive.
Wow.
So
the
supply is going down, demand's going up.
Okay.
I'm sure this video is not going to help. So.
But so okay, so you could just literally get this, but they often came in these cardboard boxes.
Yeah, also known as kits.
Okay.
And in the kits, they had instruction manuals, they had stickers.
Yeah, what is that for right there?
So that would be put around your arcade cab to explain all the moves when you're fighting, because you know you're spending money.
So you would convert basically your stand-up arcade machine to this particular game, and so this is like the artwork that you would use. Oh, that's cool.
And
that seems like it'd be really collectible, though.
Correct, and they also came, a lot of them, with a mini marquee. So if you had a Neo Geo cab, you would then put in a mini marquee, which is just a little like Mylar little slab showcasing, hey, I got this game, and you can play it, and you could select it from a button on your arcade machine.
And I assume it also came with, say, like dip switch settings and things like that.
Yep. Yep. And so that's what an actual kit looks like, and kits are worth more when the game matches the kit number. They were serialized.
I see.
In several countries, you find a lot of these with the serial scratched out because it was against the law to sell something with a serial number.
Oh, because they could potentially track it?
Yeah.
Okay.
So you find them like often scratched out, and that doesn't mean it's a pirate. It just means that it was illegal to sell it that way.
Okay.
So anyways, so here's what I did. So there's nice large clamshell boxes called shock boxes. They're plastic. They're wonderful. They're also like $8 to $10 a piece.
So these are aftermarket.
Aftermarket clamshells that take up a lot of space. When I have 50 boxes, I didn't want to go that route. So what I did is I found a U.S. shipping company, and I inverted shipping boxes for $2 a piece, used my ghetto inkjet printer, and made my own stuff that looks like an original kit.
Yeah, I mean, they absolutely do, and they're in great shape. So,
and so I did
which is a great way to store them, right?
Yeah, and I have space issues. I also have 50 MVS cards, so you know I did the math. You know, for $100, I could case set everything. It would be hundreds of dollars to go on the shock box route.
And behind the camera here, we'll do some B-roll. Yeah, they look really nice. I mean, I didn't realize that they weren't original. So
thanks.
That's cool. Okay, so I'm kind of curious. I have ran across a Neo Geo X.
Okay.
And I've heard some iffy things. What is that?
So Neo Geo X was essentially a third-party company that got permission to make a licensed Neo Geo branded. It's kind of like an aftermarket system, like a Dingu. Like it's a portable playable Neo Geo that you can play on your TV using proprietary game cards, little tiny game cards.
Oh, okay. Well, I know that when it was first announced, a lot of Neo Geo fans were pretty excited because it had, I mean, it's labeled and sanctioned by SNK.
Yes. So the problem is there was some initial issues with aspect ratio and some sound issues.
Right. I mean, it's emulation, right? It wasn't hardware.
And I think, that what it comes down to is, you know, at the end of the day, you're spending a couple $100 to emulate a Neo Geo, even though it's semi Neo Geo branded. And so I think at the end of the day, it's like, well, it's kind of cool to collect, but
it was a disappointment, wasn't it?
I think it was. I think the build quality was decent. You essentially, after you hack your system, it's fine.
Oh, okay.
But you kind of have to do that, and then you can play any ROM. The downside is they didn't make. There was a limited amount of games to officially get for it.
Right.
They sold them in these different packs. They did sell like a mega pack of a lot of the games together. I don't know. At the end of the day, I think the fans in general are disappointed.
And then the other system I've heard about, which I don't know that much, is the NEO GEO CD, right? Is that what it's called?
Wait, I'm loading. Wait, 1 sec, I'm loading. Okay, I can see you now.
Oh, I see. So So switching from cart, I was like, what are you doing? You were making a point. Yeah. So, and now I get it. Yeah, because I mean, I assume when that came out, obviously very early CD-ROM technology was very slow, 1x, 2x, something like that. So you went from great cartridge speed to waiting, loading, right?
Yeah, loading a long time.
Okay.
And even fans of like Sega CD, it's longer than that.
Huh.
And so part of the problem is you have graphically intense system, and they really were going to a CD format for cost, because they could sell a CD game at, you know, a quarter of the cost of the cartridges. You know, cartridges were $200. The home cartridges, CDs, $50.
I see. Okay. And was it very successful?
No. I mean, the bottom line is it did okay. Kind of like the system. The system, you know, was around a long time. Really successful in the arcades. The home console was really for ultra hardcore collectors.
I see.
And it limped along and a long time, and you know, it was successful enough to sustain itself, but at some point, you know, the CD was definitely not as popular as the home console of the arcade, because of frame rate differences, load times was the big killer.
So essentially it was a huge compromise to go that route, and so you're either going to jump in full on, or you're just, you know, find some other solution. So
you kind of get what you pay for with Neo Geo.
Well, so in this video we only just scratched the surface of your awesome collection, and so I just want to do a shout out here. I mean, where can people find your YouTube channel? Because you're going to cover much more of this on your channel.
Yes, I haven't uploaded it yet. I did last PRGE sell a Neo Geo TurboGrafx DVD collector's guide, part of my Nuts and Bolts series, which I still sell. But I also am going to upload all of those videos one at a time every week, probably for the next year. So it's coming. It's coming on my channel.
Well, that's cool. So people should subscribe to you. Where can they find you?
John Hancock. Just type in John Hancock.
Cool.
And it's easy to look for either a beard or a beard
the hat.
Yeah, the hat. Yeah, definitely.
Well, dude, thanks very much for doing this buying guide. I was looking forward to it because, like I said, I don't know. It's so much. I don't know why I have that mental block. Like, I guess it's because for me, I didn't play a lot of Neo Geo at the time, because I kind of moved beyond arcade. But I know there's a lot of people who are really into this, so it was awesome to be able to do this.
It is, and I would say it's great for any fans of like Sega Genesis or Atari games, because it has like great arcade, fast gameplay. It's really for fans of arcade games or even Sega Genesis.
Cool. All right, dude. Well, hey, thanks very much for doing this. I appreciate it. I'd love to know down in the comments, do you collect from the Neo Geo, or maybe what are some of the better compilations that you've played, and maybe some of your favorite games? Love to know.
Thanks.
As always, I want to thank you for watching my channel, and thank you for subscribing, and take care. If you like this video with John Hancock, well, he and I have done some other videos recently, including an N-Gage buying guide. Yes, John has pretty much most of the N-Gage things that you would want to collect. We also worked on a Sega Genesis Hidden Gems video. He has a complete Sega Genesis collection, and he pulled out some of his favorites.